Newsflash, sometimes women lie. We're not sugar and spice and all things nice. And I don't hate us, but I mean, it's the truth. So when women say they're the ones walking away and that they're single by choice, do you think that's true? I don't. I don't. I think it's kind of, well, you can't walk away because I'm walking away. Uh-oh, I better come up with some reasons. And the reason that they are giving, according to this article published in BuzzFeed on June 15th of this year, previously published in the Huffington Post, the reason is that they are doing so much emotional labor. They're just doing so much emotional labor. It's invisible, kind of like the boogeyman, but they're doing too much of it. It's so burdensome that they might have to, contribute something. But isn't that just always the way? Let's dive into it. Welcome back to Far From Eden. Before we delve into the article, let's see what this lovely young lady has to say about the whole situation.
Okay, what would a soft 4B movement look like? Maybe you want to date men, maybe you're dating a man, maybe you're married, and you want to reel in a little bit, focus on yourself, decenter men. Remember, you can still date and be married and not have that man be the center of your life. And this, for some women, this might be really fucking hard because we are used to being told, most of us.
Why is she so angry, first of all, at other women? That it might be hard. You know why it's hard? Because we're good at this. This is our giant talent. And we should be the place where men can be vulnerable. I know you're like, that's foreign to you, but that shouldn't be. That should be it. And she's just doing that whole, hey, don't help other people. Don't serve other people. Don't be there for other people. That means you're codependent. And that means you don't care about yourself enough. Oh, trust me. I think we're caring about ourselves just enough. And this attitude of you can still love him and still be in the relationship, but without giving that, what is the relationship then? What even is it? It's not going to last. I'll tell you that.
That the man is the center of your life once you're in a relationship. You have to remember that men don't often think this way. I think this requires a huge level of detachment from the relationship. And detachment doesn't mean uninvolvement. It doesn't mean you lessen your commitment. It doesn't mean that you feel less for that person. It just means that you shift the focus more so on yourself and you give up things like the emotional labor, like the intellectual.
It absolutely does mean all those things she just said it doesn't mean. It absolutely does mean you care less and you're less committed and all those things. Absolutely it does. It's a giant fracture. But, far be it from me to tell a woman that she can't have it both ways, because I am sure she's certainly willing to receive what he's giving, right? Most men are not coming to a relationship and contributing nothing. She's not talking about, what about all the meals he pays for? What about that?
Labor. I saw a video on here today and this guy was talking about how he just got out of a 3-year relationship and he's 6 weeks out and it's been really fucking hard for him because he's realizing now how much his partner took care of him. All these things that she did, like cleaning and cooking and just keeping the house really beautiful and making sure that he was eating well and reminding him about doctor's appointments and all this shit. Those are all not only acts of love, but they are emotional and intellectual labor, and everyone has different love languages and blah, 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 blah. I think this takes a really
Okay. Slow down, lady. She's doing all those things. She's keeping the house clean. She's cooking food. She's making sure he's eating healthy. That's all wonderful. Those are wife characteristics, right? But it sounds like she was looking to get something in return for that. And that's not the spirit that you do those things, right? It sounds like with that, now I don't know that situation, but it does sound like they were probably cohabitating. They were together 3 years. She's doing all these things. Who was paying the rent or the mortgage and property taxes? Who was paying their insurance on the property? Who was keeping the lights on? I don't know that situation, but I know what usually goes on. And what usually goes on is the man's contributions don't count. They don't count to these women. You know why? Because they're so taken for granted that they just should. They just should. You're just doing the bare minimum, right? And what we do, oh, that is huge. That's a gigantic contribution. You're just doing, whatever. That's the way they look at it. It's the same way they look at it, like, oh, you work too much. You work too much. You get to work. You like it's if some men do really love their jobs, but most of the time they're working so much because they're providing. And I don't see the women complaining about the provision, just that he's not there. They want it both ways. I even have a family member whose wife was constantly at him like, why are you at work all the time? Why do you work so much? Why do you work so much? But guess what she was doing? Spending, spending, spending. He was trying to keep up with her spending. Meanwhile, she's complaining he's at work all the time. And guess how that ended? Oh, she cheated on him and they got divorced. And they had children. So you can't have it both ways, but they're not going to stop demanding it. Let's continue with her little spiel about how you aren't doing enough and women are doing all of it.
Conscious effort, sometimes like by the minute, to realize what you are doing for your partner before you are doing for yourself. Are you making sure that you're getting your shit done and doing what you need to do? And then with whatever you have left, taking care of your partner. You're not a mother, you're not a mentor, you're not a martyr. It's not your job.
Did you catch that? Whatever you have left. Don't ever put anyone above yourself, ever. That's how these women operate. I guess I am too much Little House on the Prairie. I mean, I'm not that old that I can remember when we used to put others ahead of ourselves. We used to do that. All this other stuff was called being selfish. And in this day and age, and several generations back, I guess, we've been taught that if you don't put yourself first, then like the whole world's going to crumble. And that if you don't love yourself first, you can't love anybody else. And some of you were probably taught that. Well, I will look, don't take my word for it, but look around. The young Gen Xers were taught love yourself first. And I mean, the Whitney Houston song that we all know, I believe the children are the future. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. That's that song. Gen X was raised on this love yourself first. Millennials, Gen Z, all of it. How is it working? How are relationships? Not good. But this lady's going to sit here and continue to tell us that that's the way it should be. That you got to put yourself first. And then whatever you have left over, then maybe be there for someone else. Can you imagine if the men were going out here saying this? It would be, they would go out and shake their signs. The women would put on those pink hats and shake their signs.
job to do the shit for him that he could do by himself as a fully capable and grown adult human being. It's not your job to prove your worth. It's not your job to enable him. It's not your job to show him how easy and comfy and amazing his life could be with you in it by the things that you do for him physically, not physically. This might make you think about all the ways in which you could be potentially codependent. You need to have walk away presence. No matter how long you've been in the relationship, no matter how much is invested, if it's not working for you, at a certain point, you have to get real with yourself and be.
Absolutely do not have walk away presence. This is the reason why relationships just fall apart in this day and age. And what I mean is marriages. Honestly, all these relationships, et cetera, it just teaches us how to break up with each other. But when you have that escape hatch always there, the escape door, right? Then what's happening is you're looking for all these reasons to use it. And that's not the way to have a relationship, is to always have one hand on the doorknob of the escape door. That's what she's telling you to do. She's like, have one foot out the door of the escape door. That's not going to make it better. This woman is traumatized from being in too many relationships where it just wasn't. I'm not saying the men hurt her. I'm saying that the way it was set up, the way she interacted with it, because guess what? We need to be accountable for some things, just didn't help it continue and turn into anything. And so she's just angry at the world. And it stands to reason that women would be angry at the world, because feminism promises everything. You can have it all, and you should. You're a woman, hear you roar. And that's not going to happen, because it's impossible for anyone to have everything. There's only 24 hours in the day. So is it any wonder that they're all getting angry? But they don't see why. They don't see it.
Be a very clear, transparent communicator at all fucking times. And this goes for like romantic relationships, but also friendships, like every fucking area of your life. Women, we need to be a little more selfish. We need to not give so much.
I don't think so. I don't think we need to be more selfish. I think that's the giant problem. And it's the problem. But that's why the women say they're walking away, is because you guys just won't do the emotional labor. We're cut out for it. We shouldn't be trying to train you to be more like women. It's not going to work. And y'all know we're not going to want that anyway, because we want someone who can lead, and we want a strong man. You can't win. Anyway, this was written by Alice Lassman. And like I said, it was originally published in Huffington Post, and this was published again in BuzzFeed June 15th, 2025. I mean, they really want to get this information out there. It's crucial information. How else are we going to tell the women what they're doing and how they feel, so they can go feel it and espouse it on TikTok? Make sure to blame you guys. Women are refusing to be in relationships with men in record numbers. And this is why. It's the brutal truth. It's the brutal truth behind why. Women are now 23% less likely to want to date than men. You're not walking away, we're walking away. That's exactly what this is, I swear. Tell me in the comments if you think that's true. And by the way, hit like on the video, please. Ava, 27, seemed unbothered by her partner's inability to communicate his emotions. We have enough to think about, she told me as she slid her laptop out of her tote bag, still dressed in her tweed blazer from work. It wasn't serious anyway. Isn't that funny? A tweed blazer from work. Why do we have to mention that? Because we have to point out she's strong and powerful, and she doesn't just hang on men. I mean, that's what constantly with the narrative. She'd been dating Max for a few months when it struck her, mid conversation with a friend, that she had no idea what he felt about her or their future. So she stopped asking. There was a time, she said, when she would have tried harder. And they just leave that. So women will fill it in, fill in the blanks. There's no point in trying harder. He just wasn't going to get there. She just stopped caring anymore at trying to work that hard at relationships. That's what we're supposed to infer with our woman brain. But I suspect the truth is with she doesn't ask anymore. And there was a time she would have tried harder. This is what women sometimes do in a sort of a situationship type situation, or in a situationship where she knows he's not going to want to commit. Sounds like the ice cream truck outside. I don't understand. You guys, can you hear it? Anyway. Oh, sorry for the microphone. It's not the new microphone. Had some cord issues. Try to get it resolved for next time. Sarah, 21, recalled sitting on her bed while her boyfriend begged her to hear him out. He wasn't remorseful for cheating. He just no longer wanted to sit with his shame. Okay, remember, that's coming from Sarah's point of view. I find it hard to believe that he wasn't remorseful for cheating. Why else would he then go to her to free himself from the shame? That's guilt. Anything, he'll do and say anything to make it your fault and make you look bad and her not so much, and her a victim. That's the mentality. And you see it in all these interactions. I was done, she said, and yet he expected her to comfort him. I had to help him find the words for his feelings, not his actions. Long silences, teasing through shame and self-hatred. He didn't know what he wanted to say, she said, and then I made him feel okay about it. Also, with the way, okay, so she's 21, right? With the way their generation has been raised, their elementary school teachers, female, have been teaching them to use their words and express their feelings. And the parents have, mothers have been, taught to do that too with the boys, which is like encouraging them to emote like women, express like women, etc. So is it any wonder that say a little boy grows up and says, I need a female coach to help me do that, handle this like a female? That's what I see. You guys in the chat who are young, especially, let me know. Or those of you who have, older children like this. Did you see this with them, with how they're being raised? Because they're trying to force men to be feminized. They're feminizing men because they look at that like, well, that's an improvement, right? And it's not. Men are great. You have to come out with the attitude that there's something wrong with men inherently to try to say that how they're doing it is wrong. Women are better at the emotional stuff. The emotional stuff that we have has been absolutely perverted and, sent out into the world to virtue signal and overreact things when it's really designed for the family, for young children, for all of this emotional labor. And the men's brains are designed for logical, problem solving, strategic type stuff, cost benefit ratio, assessing danger, stuff like that. And shockingly, we are complementary to each other. That is why it makes such a good team to be husband and wife, because she does her part, he does his part. Sure, you overlap in places. Absolutely. You need to problem solve when you've got children. You got to problem solve when you're, making the meal from scratch, what have you. But it's different when you look at like worldly issues and stuff. And so you can look at how this was all designed to be and how it's being shoved into this modern world where the overlords, whoever you think is in charge of all of this and in charge of propaganda, I look at key bono, who benefits, and that is a state that wants increasing control over the population, making men and women compete with one another and be, women masculine, men feminine. That's a non-starter for a family. It just, and you're already like the TikTok lady gave us the inside information of sort of having that escape door. Always have that walk away attitude. Yeah, sounds great. I always want to ask them how they were raised when I see them, say these things. These stories reflect a shift among young women in which more and more of them are quiet quitting these relationships. Women are now 23% less likely to want to date than men. Again, that's that I'm single by choice. 23% less likely to date than men. Not because they don't care, but because they feel they've invested too much emotional labor without support in return. So I'm being like a woman to him, and he's not being like a woman to me. We have female best friends and sisters and mothers for a reason. Women do. And it's for this interaction. You shouldn't expect that from a man. You need a place to go where, let's not be overly emotional and everything. If you wonder why women are attracted to the strong, silent type, it's because that quells the emotional reactivity. Unless she's BPD, and then it's a whole different situation. Then it's like that for a bit, and then it's going to explode. So the women are quiet quitting. The other side of the masculinity crisis, the exhausting emotional intelligence gap. So you guys are just, this is Men's Mental Health Month. June is Men's Mental Health Month. Is it any wonder that men are having a mental health crisis when you get told that the emotional intelligence gap is just exhausting for us? You guys are just exhausting. You don't know how to act. You don't know how to emote. You expect too much. You're basically predators, and you're really stupid emotionally. What do they expect? Could you imagine this the other way around? No way. In intimate relationships, young women are taking on a disproportionate load of invisible emotional labor, often supporting men through intense feelings of failure and isolation from friends. And we should be doing that. That's our job. As wives, we should be the place where men can go to be completely vulnerable. Because guess what? Men have fear, men have pain, men have all those things. And they need a place where they know that's gonna be safe. No one's ever gonna know. You're not gonna judge them. I know this sounds foreign, but this is what they need. And honestly, if you love them, if you love him, wouldn't you be so happy to do that? Wouldn't you be honored that you're that place where this wonderful man feels safe to go? The attitude is so askew. It's so selfish. It's so uh just the idea of doing something for another person, let alone the person you love more than anybody in the world, doing something for them, the idea of that is like taxing and draining and somehow unfair. And it's sickening. Many men describe feeling weird or like a waste of time when opening up to male friends, instead reserving vulnerability for their relationships with women. Right. And honestly, with the lack of fathers in the home, it would be pretty hard for men to, and with the lack of like larger families where you've got brothers and stuff, it would be harder to know how you're supposed to relate to a man because you're certainly not supposed to be masculine about it. No boys will be boys. They don't know how to be around each other, these younger generations, because they've been taught it's all wrong. While men consider this unburdening to a woman a natural part of their relationships, those same women describe it as work, what researchers at Stanford University call man keeping. They made a word for it that further condescends to you and insults you, man keeping. Over the past 2 years, I've interviewed dozens of young men and women about their relationships. What's emerged is a sense that women are absorbing the emotional fallout of a crisis they didn't create. Oh, I think they did. I think feminism did create the masculinity crisis. I think that that actually is true. Because, once again, man bad, woman good. The anxieties surrounding what it means to be a man in 2025 should matter to everyone. They're reshaping not just our politics, but the very fabric of how women and men interact, shaping how we love, how we vote, and whether we can build a future together at all. Telling the other side of the masculinity crisis is key to solving it. No, being honest about the root of it is the key to solving it. The masculinity crisis is because you have branded masculinity as toxic and you've tried to change the way men think, the way they interact, and you've downplayed the way they love, the fact that their hearts can get broken. That's the masculinity crisis. And, family court, divorce, all that kind of stuff, that doesn't help. This escape door deal that women have, the fact that, women are seen to be the better parents, even though stats between single moms and single dads might show otherwise and do. But, facts don't matter. How we feel does, and how we have this invisible labor and all that. They have to make it the boogeyman and invisible and everything because these are lies. This is gaslighting. And that's what the propaganda does. And that's all. This is what this is. This is written to tell women how they're supposed to think so that women, like the chick in the TikTok video that we watched, are going to go and espouse it. Because they've been given permission to. They've been taught how. We're taught that women are sugar and spice and all things nice too. We're taught that we are that. Yeah, not good. This is especially acute for younger men, with 2/3 reporting that no one really knows them. Christopher Pepper, co-author of Talk to Your Boys, notes that Gen Z is the first generation to rely mostly on their phones to communicate. Quote, there's no responsibility for what's on the receiving end of online communication, he said, with online spaces often devolving into slurs and no longer alive threats. That wouldn't be acceptable in other situations. Absolutely not. And I think, I'm not a doctor, that these screens to communicate constantly, devices, digitally, whatever, I think when you're unaware of the receiving side of the conversation, it kind of develops a form of what mirrors autism. And if you talk to some of these youngsters, try to have a dialogue in real life, you'll know what I'm talking about. So I'm planning to do a show on autism and boys and all the rest of it, and what they used to think caused it. But that all changed. Anyway, that's upcoming little teaser for you. For the 60% of men who engage with masculinity influencers, hi, that is so encouraging. Friendship itself is evolving. Ambition, wealth, and popularity are prioritized over trust. Yeah, that's not what we're doing over here. It's not what we're doing. We talk a lot about, finding your value in God. We talk a lot about scripture, and we talk about protecting your peace, feeding your soul. We talk about all these sorts of things. That's not what we're doing. That's actually ambition, wealth, and popularity. That's more like the, what they said was the American dream. Go out there and do better than your parents financially. Not family-wise, financially. Bigger house, more cars, more important job, higher status. That's been pushed on us. That's what's been pushed on the men. We learned that when we read and reviewed Decline of the American Male. In individualist countries like the UK and the US, this shift is more pronounced, perhaps owed to the glamorization of lone wolf masculinity, in which vulnerability is discouraged. Lone wolf masculinity, all these, I don't know, all these terms they come up with, and they're never positive, ever. Lone wolf masculinity, men are more individual than women. It's just the way it is. It's the way it is. Men can handle being alone more. I will tell you where I get that. Well, first of all, I'm a woman, and I know we tend to like groups. We go to the bathroom in groups, right? We do that more. I think the idea was, if the man goes out hunting, the women are home with the children, and maybe her mother or sisters, a family. It's not supposed to be you're home alone with the kids by yourself. There was extended family before. Also, men go off to war, stuff like that. And I'm not for sending them overseas for stupid stuff, but like if there's a threat to your community, right? That takes a more solitary mindset. Women, historically, before all this modern, infrastructure and stuff, we don't survive in nature on our own. We're not strong enough physically to do that. We don't have the constitution. We can't handle extreme temperatures the way men can. We don't do well on our own in nature. Man can, though. So we are more predisposed to be in groups. They are more predisposed to be able to be alone. I do think you guys need brotherly love in your lives, obviously fatherly love and guidance and all of that, and that's severely lacking. But when you break down masculinity and you call it bad and you try to tell men how they can be and how they can't be, etc., and they start believing it, Is it any wonder those relationships would break down? Of course. And you've got them too busy chasing career and chasing all that stuff that it's you guys, it's the propaganda. Sorry, not you guys. It's the propaganda, it's the state, it's all of that that are pushing them for all ambition and stuff, because more ambition, more wealth, more taxes. So, don't let them gaslight you. Don't let them gaslight you. I have never found any of this stuff to be true about men. Not at all. Men have wonderful big hearts. There's a reason that most mothers will tell you boys are easier to raise and they're more affectionate. I think that says something, says a lot, actually, about who we are. Anyway, make sure you protect your peace. Make sure you feed your souls. Thank you for being here. Hit that like button on your way out. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.